but when it comes to leadership, I think it's more important to understand who they are, like what's their communication style, and being able to adapt yourself to deliver a more inspiring message to that person.
Hello, friends! Welcome to a new episode of Merging Minds powered by BureauWorks. I think I'm tired of saying it, but I'm excited today again because I'm bringing you a new leader in the localization industry, a powerhouse, a millennial, the great Naho. Naho, hello! Welcome to Merging Minds.
Hey, hello. Thank you for having me here. I'm so excited.
How are you doing?
I'm good. It's
Yes?
really warm, but enjoying the probably last bit of summer of the year.
No, okay, for those watching out there, we're recording this in middle of August 2024. We're going through a heat wave. Now was telling me as we were starting to log in how she's suffering a heat wave in Amsterdam, but she's based, right? But I want to ask you, like now is definitely not a Dutch name. So where do you come from and how did you stumble upon our industry now? Tell us.
Right. Yeah, so I was born and raised you can probably guess from my name. I'm from Japan. And then right before the college, I moved to US, San Francisco. And I spent there for 6 years, so combination of college and also work. And then, I got a job in San Francisco. It was an engineering job. And then I was supporting or pre-sales for Japanese customer and also internationalizing the software. You have to wear the multiple hat. And then I had an opportunity to go, Japan and then talk to our customers. And then I realized, I speak Japanese, but I actually don't know the culture because I've never worked there professionally. All my experience are, like talking to friends.
I never worked in Spain. I've been working for the last 16 years professionally. Before it was, kind of like a student's job. I never worked in Spain in my entire life. Just like you, in my home country.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah,
Millennials.
so it's a yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, maybe. But then I realized, oh no, like I like this I like to use my ability that I can speak two languages. But in order for me to grow in the area, I need to have professional experience in Japan. So I decided to move back to Japan. Though I got into Australian company in Japan, so I didn't really get to experience, so-called Japanese working culture, luckily or not. Um, and then did the marketing manager there, and eventually I landed. Well, I wanted to. I think 4 years was enough for me to learn or stay in your own country. You get judgmental about your country, quite easily. And then I wanted to
Yes,
move.
all the
So
time, all the time, all the time. And about what our parents taught us as millennials and what we grew up with, and this didn't happen. All these things, right?
yeah.
So I'm with you.
Exactly. Yeah. So I had an opportunity to work as a localization manager in Amsterdam. So I'm like, yes, I'll do it because I just want to, I don't want to stay here forever. And now it's been 6 years and yeah, here we are.
And for our friends, now is now the principal program manager, GTM localization at Atlassian.
Yes. It's
So
a
six
long
years.
title.
It's a long title. It's a long title. It's a long title. But that's I think that's classical of us, right? What like me personally, I studied. I have a law degree, and I said it here before. I never used it. Like if I go back 20 years, 24 years in time, which is when the year that I studied university. Like I studied to be a lawyer. Who the hell would tell me that 24 years after I would be head of community or my previous role, global brand champion, right? Like, aren't we like the most prepared generation that should have been? What do you think?
Mhm.
Because I think flexibility is definitely our flagship.
Yeah, I think so. Um, Yeah, I think I grew up in a way that, my parents didn't tell me what I should be or, the college major should be connected to the certain job. I think I had freedom and actually going with flow. And then that's how I got here. So yeah, I think that's also the generational thing, I suppose.
Yeah, I've been an intern for 2 years. I created a company. I went to work in a very old-fashioned company in Germany for 2 years as well. Then I built a company in Ukraine for a year. Then I ended up being a tour guide. And then I stumbled upon the localization industry. All of that in 16 years only. That's flexible. If that's not called flexibility and being and like survival, quote unquote, what is that
Yeah.
called? and, and
Yeah, absolutely.
and I remember as well, like jumping into this professional, call it like the proper corporate job world in the year 2008, where the whole world just collapsed. There were no jobs, especially in cultures like where I come from, in countries like I come from, south of Europe, where it was difficult back then, and having to literally survive, get any job you could, move to any country you could. I struggled with adapting to countries, to cultures, and stuff like that, learning other languages at an age where that this it's a bit on paper a bit more difficult, whatever. And those are some of the challenges that I had. What were some of the challenges that you had, if you think of those those first steps in your professional journey?
Challenges.
Yeah, moments that you say like, "Oh my God, am I gonna make it? Like how or how the hell did I end up in this place?"
You know, I think I always felt like I have to make it.
Yes, yes, yes. That sounds good.
Yes, there was always worry that am I going to make it? But I think like the answer was always I have to make it.
You
So
have to.
you kind of like trying to get another opportunity, this opportunity, and then bring the creates the journey. I don't think I necessarily knew where exactly I am going to land in a 5 years down the line, or 10 years or more.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Which is it's so to say in a nice way, it's impacting, right? Because like I don't know, like did this happen to you? Like most of your friends or your family's friends, they've been in the same company for 30 years or for 20 years. Like my father was an executive. He retired for the last 6 7, but he did. I think I can count in the last 40 years, three companies he worked for, three, four companies, tops, three,
Mhm.
one company every 10, 12 years, right? And, uh, and, uh, and it's always been impacting, right? When you say like, okay, I'm gonna get a job as this, and then I'm gonna do a career here, especially in cultures like Japan, right, where people still nowadays tend to be more, yeah, I stick to this job, I'll do it, and no,
Yeah, you're reminding me of good things. My dad was also like that. He worked for the same company for maybe like 30 years or something. Um, and even among my friends, it's still not common to hop on different jobs. So my journey is definitely unique.
okay. Is that like a localization thing? Because all of like our journeys tend to be unique, right? Like it's an industry that nobody knows
True.
of. It's a profession that, I mean, if I could think of, like, I have friends that studied translations back in the day, but all we were talking about was like, oh, I'm going to be a translator or I'm going to be an interpreter in the United Nations and I'm going to make a fortune. And then those are the things. Like it's not like so. It's interesting to see that like that industry is not like this, right? Like it's like there's so much things to do, so much possibility of creativity,
True.
and so many things like that, right? And there's another thing that I think it's worth mentioning. Like I've learned leadership here while entering the industry, and generationally, I think it's our time. It's the millennials' time to take over the world. You're in a leading position, aren't you?
I'm not sure if I'm a leading position, but I'm curious. Why would you think so?
No, because first of all, let me ask you, like, do you have team members that you have to inspire or tell them, hey guys, we need to get this program together, this project together? Do you have those?
Yeah, yeah, day to day.
Oh, no, that's today. That's so that's the thing, right? And then I think also the way we are, like we were taught like certain ways of leadership that perhaps do not apply to now to what leading is nowadays, right? To me, if I can think back, like the leaders that you could follow in the times we were growing up, let's say the early 2000s or late 90s, were these strong, powerful people who, hey, if you show weakness, you're fucked. You show weakness. You don't know more than the rest of than or you have to know more than the rest of the team you're leading, right? To be that person of respect. That's very common also in the Spanish culture, which has changed recently, I think. And if I'm not mistaken, that might be also common in the Japanese culture, right? So imagine, can you tell us about your impression about, hey, the world is not as we were told in when talking about leading?
Wait, sorry, could you repeat the question
Yeah,
again?
sure. What I mean is
I
like,
just want to make sure I got it.
no, sure. Okay, so what I mean is basically like we were taught that leading, or we grew up seeing that our leaders were strong, resilient people, like cold as ice, right? And then that from my understanding in the Spanish culture where I come from, that was the classical image of a leader. As far as I know, from coming from Japan, that's pretty similar to the image that
Mm.
the Japanese has of a leader, right? But we, due to the way we are seeing the world, it's not the way. It's not the way. You cannot just show up in front of your team and tell them, "Hey, you guys do this, or you are out." Right? You have to be
Yeah.
empathetic. You have to be more understanding. You have to lead through inspiring, right? And to me, like there's a great way of putting it. Like there's two types of shepherds, like the shepherd that leads the herd from behind, like with the stick hitting them and you just go straight, or the shepherd that
Mhm.
goes in front of the herd and stuff. So what is your opinion on this? What is your opinion on when you got to a leading position, saying like, hey, oh my god, this is not what I was taught? That does it make sense now?
Yeah, it does. So
Sorry if i
I
if i
think
phrased the question wrongly,
no,
sorry
no,
now.
no, no, no. It's this is thank you for explaining. Um, so I think yes, like when you are in a country,
Yes.
surrounded by the people who you share the same sort of upbringing, the way you learned, um, might work for those people, right? But then when you work in an environment like international environment like Amsterdam, everyone comes from so many different background. I mean, also like now the remote work is a thing. You could have team members from anywhere in the world, and the way you learn that this is the right way is definitely not the right way. It's absolutely, it's personal. And I think I like this book called The Culture Map. Have you read it
No, no,
before?
no, not yet. And I'm looking for
Okay.
books to continue reading this summer, so I'll write them.
I yeah, I think you'll find it interesting. So,
Yes.
some cultures are like hierarchical, like you
Okay.
want to listen to you, and then some cultures are not, and some culture has likes high context and some culture don't. And I think sometimes this is a good way for me to draw the baseline to communicate with other people, right? Because sometimes you feel like, oh, this person is not responding to what I'm saying, and maybe in their culture, that's perfectly normal thing. For example, Japan tend to be high context culture, so I realized myself that I explain things too much, and then overwhelm other people. So that's just one thing for me to notice. But when it comes to leadership, I think it's more important to understand who they are, like what's their communication style, and being able to adapt yourself so um, to deliver more inspiring message to that person.
And imagine adding an extra layer to that of complexity when it's like even multi-generational stuff. Like imagine that is people that were born before us or people that are younger than us and from different cultures. Wow, that's to get a message through to all of that. It's it must be interesting. Can you think of situations that you had challenges to get your message through due to this kind of difficulties?
I think I kind of got used to.
Yes.
So let's see if I have an example. Um, I don't know.
Or I mean, don't worry, we don't have to think of the examples. Like for example, or we can put it this way. I have another idea. Like perhaps uh, uh, t- perhaps tell us about a moment in which being a person as you are, a millennial leader, really represented a very big advantage towards communicating the message because of the way you are, because of the way you use technology, because of the way you are approaching the empathetic leadership. Can you think of any example of those?
And a
Yes.
millennial.
Yes. Like on a daily basis, like okay. So I was able to get my message through very easily because I was able to. I am very good user of technology, and I'm empathetic, and I can read people better. Whatever, something like that.
Do you have an example? Maybe you can inspire me.
Yes, I do have an example. I do have an example because, for example, on I'm not directly a leader of people, right? I do not have a team that I have to inspire every day and stuff. But one thing that I've heard of people commenting on my profile, it's brought me a little bit of like, really, am I one of those? Is that they have told me, Javi, you're more of a thought leader. You write. I write a lot. I express myself a lot of pages that I have on LinkedIn, right? I write a lot of
Mm.
articles, things that I have in mind, like holy shit, I thought of this the other day. I'm going to write about this. And what is this conflict, whatever? And I've been doing this for the last 5, 6 years. Thankfully, it brought me to a position where a lot of people know me. And I have to communicate because what I see is not that it's not only people our generation or whatever. It's like what I have to see is like I have to think of all the possible readers of what I'm going to be writing of, like people that might be younger, people that might be unemployed, people that have a leadership position, people that have a I don't know, that have a 25 years of experience where I have like 10, or people that are at the end of their career, people that are starting, right? So what I'm trying to do is like I try to find a language and a structure in the way I communicate those things that can resonate with everybody. Like I tried, for example, to go a lot onto storytelling storytelling marketing, saying to people, hey, I think here's a here's a problem, then this problem led me to this other thing, and this thing led me to this other thing, which is a solution, and here's what I think that I could a short learning that I've learned that I could transmit to you guys. And that's
Hmm.
more of the way of the way of me of my thinking, and the way of me being a millennial. I don't know if I should say thought leader, because you are not a thought leader. That you are nobody's out to proclaims themselves thought leader. You're a name, right? And it's very embarrassing to say this, but this is the way that I've used, that I've been able to, to become, I don't know, somebody that people read, so to say.
Mm.
So that's an
Yeah.
example. That's an example of mine, using technology in my advantage, using the those things,
Got
right?
it. Okay. Yeah, no, I think I'm similar way. I don't know if I have an other people's example. Because you don't know what generation. I think in a working in a tech company, you don't necessarily know what generation they're in. But I do realize that in my leadership kind of style, like I realize the thinking process, as you said, is more systematic than this is the way you should do. And I think sometimes, I think there might be some generation factor um, when it comes to them understanding um, the process of the way of thinking.
Okay.
The way I think, yeah.
Okay. That's very interesting that you say that. That's very interesting, and I guess in that process, like empathy, reading people's minds plays in understanding how people can react to quote unquote a command. Uh,
Hmm.
really helps, right? And have you been in situations, and I can think of like, in which you have to take an unpopular decision and pass it through? Can you think of any of those? Like I said,
Unpopular decision.
yes, oh my God, those that I work with are not gonna like this, but I have to really pass this through, and I have to make it in a way in which people really understand that this is for the good of the company. It's not personal. We need to freaking do this. Can you think of any of those?
I mean, it's every day. I mean,
Yes, yes.
it's every day. I mean, I think that we
And
have.
how do you pass the messages then? How do you express that ideas that make that make you being the great person and leader you are?
I don't
Come
think
on.
it's about. I'm pretty clear. I'm very
Okay.
clear person when it comes to communicating, especially as a leader. I say things quite frankly, like what's not working, what is the expectation, and I think it's what's important is you build the foundational relationship with that person or team, right? Like I think there one person told me that when we are in a meeting we have a so intense conversation because we are like, okay, we should do this, we should do that. No, you shouldn't do that. Like it's just like this batting conversation. But she said like, well, because I know you, I know how you communicate, so I know that it's not personal, like it's just a work, it's just how we get things done efficiently. And I think people often think about how it's about how you communicate, how you say. Yes, it is if you're communicating with the larger audience that you don't have engagement with, but if you're talking to your team, or someone who you work day to day, it's really up to how you invest in the relationship
Mhm.
day to day.
And now that you mentioned this thing of relationship and then developing and really capitalizing on the power of relationships, like one of the things that I see as key to establishing good relationships, and one of the things that I see that really helps, especially let's say younger professionals, is mentorship, because mentorship helps. I mean, one of the keys of mentorship is definitely relationship building, right? And I saw that you recently became a mentor for women in localization, right?
That's
How's that
correct.
experience?
Yeah.
How's that experience so far?
So I gotta say I'm pausing a little bit on this on the sessions at the
Okay.
last few months because I had a personal things going on.
Okay.
But so far, I'll be honest. It's great. It's really like it's not just contributing. I think it's more like I'm more helped in a way. And then again, like honestly, the reason why I did this is for myself.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Okay.
because I wanted to be better at um talking to people and then being inspiring. So it's been,
Cool.
I hope it's been good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's more like a challenge to myself.
And how many mentors do you have now? Like, or can you do you have a number? No.
So I have about like three now.
Okay. Wow. Interesting. Interesting. Are they from all over the place? Are they in Amsterdam? Do you mentor them online? Like, can you? How's that go? Like one of my great friends is the
Yeah.
founder of Women in Localization, but I applied to be a mentor and I never really became one. I should go further into that. But how is the, like you told us that the experience is like you, it helps you grow yourself when you think you're gonna contribute to others. Like holy smokes, I am learning more than personally than probably the person that I'm helping with, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, like one thing that we discussed in the past, and it was with what people name or what is like labeled as an industry veteran, is the fact that veterans, people that have in theory more experience, benefit as well from this relationship that we were discussing. So we can talk about what is called reverse mentoring, which is like, hey, somebody that's supposed to be a mentor is now listening to how all those people see the world from an age perspective, and I'm benefiting and I'm learning from them, right? So yeah, that's a thing that has happened, right? That so
Yeah. Absolutely.
yeah, and I have to ask you, like we've been in the industry. I've been for here for at least 10 years, and I have more experience from the past in other things like jumping around the world. And you've been at least for 10 years as well, more or less like me. Like imagine that there was somebody new that just what is this localization industry thing? I'm going to apply for a job. Oh, I think I like it. What kind of advice would you give them for them to become leaders here one day, or for them to have a nice career? It's like, hey, I wanna experience a good time here in the industry. What kind of advice would you give them?
Yeah, so I think be open to where you might land, right? Because I think what's difficult in, I mean, localization, if you have a passion to language, this is the best job for sure. But I'll also be honest, the growth path is not clear. I think
It's
that's
not
something
linear. It's
everyone
not linear.
feels.
Definitely, it's not linear. Definitely, it's not linear. It
Yeah,
goes up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. I agree with you. Definitely, it's not
right.
linear.
And then yeah. I mean, even if you become a leader in a localization on the client side, especially, you are so dependent on everything. Like I am a leader in a marketing localization, but obviously I'm dependent to English content. There's so much that we can do to influence. Our base is always English, right? So when it comes to Korea, I think I wish I kind of try to see what the future looks like. Try to push yourself to see, all right, in 10 years or 20 years, even 30 years, what I want to be. It's scary thought, but um, I mean, I think people should take it in a fun way,
Yes.
like, okay, I like language, where we want to go. And I think that's exactly that's something, yeah, exactly. I missed it. And then it doesn't need to be leader.
No.
You don't need to be the head of localization.
Yeah.
There are a
Yeah.
bunch of other way, and yeah, be open and explore, talk,
And have
build
fun.
your
I love what
network.
you said. And have fun. That's
Yeah,
the most important thing you said. Now, like, I'm thankful that you came here and introduced yourself to us and told us who you are and your perspectives of millennial leadership. It's been super interesting. I don't want to take any more of your time. We've been together chatting here for 30 minutes. It's been amazing to get to know you. I personally really am impacted by your energy and your positive views of teams, of life, and I feel represented by you as well, because we're people that we've left our hometowns, we learn other languages, we integrate in other cultures, we live over all over the world. So that that's been amazing to see as well in another fellow millennial like you. And I want to deeply, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for coming and having this interview. Is there any last thoughts you'd like to tell our friends listening?
oh well, thank you for listening in, and thank you for having me here. It's been wonderful. And yeah, if you want to reach out for mentorship, like, I think I'm still available, so feel free to reach out.
So anyone, just reach out to Naho on LinkedIn. She's available there. And thanks for being here, and to all of you watching, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to bring you here, my friend Naho. And until the next time we meet another episode of Merging Minds. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.